You probably don't run into this as much, I'm guessing, but in the wider world, there are certainly organizations where there is a feeling that people need to increase their capacity for grit and resilience. What's your perspective on that? Not necessarily whether or not it's true, but how do you go about it? And maybe part of the question is, are you born with it, or do you have it developed in childhood, or can you develop it later? How do you go about thinking about that, or helping others develop that if they're working for you?
I think developing self-awareness is a good first start.
Yes.
Right. And really coming to grips with your own story and how your story has shaped you, really coming into grips with where your story is inhibiting you or preventing you from living in your full potential.
Yes.
And asking, do you have the support system necessary for the times of grit? Right?
Yes.
Do you have what you need to be resilient when things are happening? And if not, what would it take? Right. And being willing to be vulnerable, right? To be able to say, I need help.
Yeah.
Right. Because once you can do that, once you can say to an issue, I don't know, I don't have the answer, or I need help, now you have the potential for growth.
Yes.
Right. And so I think part of that, yes, I believe actually you can learn it, but I think part of it is to be in a place where that encourages self-awareness, encourages self-growth, provides the structures and the security to do that. Not in this is a safe place, but this is a brave space.
Sure.
This is a place where we can be brave about who we are and acknowledge that, no, maybe my life didn't prepare me for everything, but I want to be with a group that are also struggling with their own selves. And so for an example, early on in the fire department, we could not acknowledge PTSD.
Oh,
right.
Right.
So we actually, in my first department I ever served in, they actually had debriefing and intentional ways of saying, how did you experience this call? But we also had, if you need help, you're a candy ass.
Yes.
Right. And so the message clearly given was, you never admit something bothered you.
Right.
You never ask for help. The help you ask for is, doing the work of the team, but not the emotional work with what you dealt with.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to be strong.
Right.
That did not serve anybody well at all.
Yes.
Right. How do we say, no, actually acknowledging that we just faced trauma actually takes more strength than denying it.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
So how do we do that? I think that's important.
Yeah.
Because that provides then the necessary work internally to be resilient when you're facing day after day after day the trauma that you experience or the challenges that you're going through.
Yes.
Because you've built up the reserves and you have a place you can go to.
Absolutely.
But if you're not allowed to say it, if you're not allowed to acknowledge it, if you're not allowed to get help,
right,
then we're setting up a system that will eventually fail.
That's Facing the Wind, Season 2 of The Grit Factor. Thank you for being here. As always, it's great to have you listening in. And if you enjoyed this episode, would you subscribe, leave us a review, and share with a friend? And make sure to pick up your own copy of The Grit Factor for candid stories and lessons from leaders in the vanguards of their fields. If you have a question you'd like to ask, send me a voicemail through the link at my website at thegritinstitute.com/podcast. See you next week.